The great St. Pius X said, indeed, the true friends of the people are neither revolutionaries, Cardinal Gretsch, nor innovators. They are promoters of tradition. End quote. They are the traditionalists. This is what Pius X said. So fellow promoters of tradition, friends of the people, what are we going to do? What are we going to do this summer? Was Pope Pius X, was Bishop Fulton Sheen, were these men right to put trust and faith and confidence in us that there would be lay people, there would be traditionalists, even in the middle of revolution, who would do the right thing, who would keep the faith, who would stand up and resist, not leave the church, but yes, resist and make a change, drag the priests and the bishops back in the direction of where they need to be as Catholic prelates? Who is going to save our church? Not our bishops, not our priests and religious. It is up to you, the people. You have the minds, the eyes, the ears to save the church. Your mission is to see that your priests act like priests, your bishops like bishops, and your religious act like religious. And so now if Pope Leo XIV, if he wants an international incident, well, another round of excommunications of tradition will certainly do the trick. You know? Because this is out of control now, friends. We know what's going on. It's deception. It's demonic what's happening. You remember these two guys? I see this picture a lot of times. Jimmy Martin blessing these two guys. I think they're already married. So that was the whole problem with Francis wanting to bless the gay unions. Many of those couples were already married civilly. All they wanted was a blessing, and so they ran with it. So these two guys became famous for doing that. Now, they have been invited, and I can't even believe this is happening. They have been invited, once again, by Cardinal Gretsch and his team, to the next synodal meeting in Rome, in the Vatican. These two guys, okay? United in a union, a sodomitical union that cries to heaven for vengeance. They're going to be consulted, all right? Oh, that's okay, according to Cardinal Gretsch, according to the Vatican. Whereas this needs to be excommunicated. The 2,000-year-old liturgy of our faith has to be, there's no place for it in this new synodal church, right? And there's your state of emergency. So here's the thing, friends, and I'll close on this. Even if you're confused, you just heard about this, you just came into the traditional movement during COVID, now you hear about, disobeying the Pope, this is going to be awful. Even if you're not okay with what the SSPX is going to do, the Society of St. Pius X, the consecration of bishops, please, I would beg you, please, for God's sake and for the sake of your children, for the sake of the church, just keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself. You honestly have not been tracking these arguments as long as we have been. There's so much more to it than what you're being told by people who are just mad because they have a friend who's in the society or a family member in the society, and there's this ongoing spitting match over the society, right? And now they just want to tear it all down again with no thought whatsoever for the good that's come out for all of us in the society, outside the society, right? So the strategy should be, if you have a strategic bone in your body, let the Vatican think that the entire traditional Catholic movement, the entire traditional Catholic world will follow the Society of St. Pius X in a worldwide act of protest of this synodal abomination that's going on, right? It does not matter what you think of the SSPX. It doesn't even matter what your priest thinks, so please don't go bothering your priest to tell them, is it okay if we go to this when they're in the fraternity? That doesn't work. That never works. It doesn't matter what I think of this. We can all, as adults, see the fruits of this. They're now 40 years in the making. 40 years of the Latin Mass restored. 40 years of the Latin Mass becoming the touchstone, the doctrinal touchstone of the faith, forming the souls and consciences of our children and the children of the world who would otherwise have been hopelessly lost, as the vast majority of young people have been over the past 50 years. Thus, all the closed churches, closed schools, broken families, right? The traditional Latin Mass movement has been serving families, saving souls from the fires of hell, and that's what matters. That's what matters now. the faith itself, the souls of children, of our own children and grandchildren. That's what matters. We all know that. As I've told you so many times, I'm a diocesan Latin Mass guy. I've been going to the diocesan Latin Mass for 30 years. I love the Fraternity of St. Peter.
Sanctus, 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 Dominus Deus Sabaoth. It is the cross and the church that will guide you and make you understand that true love is sacrificial. Ego coniungo vos in matrimonium, in nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Meo.
But the reality is you can't evaluate. People say, well, the fraternity didn't have to disobey the Pope, so why do we even need this? This is crazy. Why don't we? Okay, well, that's a question steeped in ignorance, because you don't understand. For 30 years, the big complaint that people would level, critics of the Fraternity of St. Peter would level against the fraternity, is that they always showed up in these areas where there already was a Society of St. Pius X chapel. Why is that? It wasn't the fraternity's fault. The bishop, who thought the society was in schism, would invite the fraternity in. So the whole point and purpose of the fraternity was to offset the society. So you simply cannot, with a straight face, ask the question, well, the fraternity doesn't have to disobey, so why does the society? The two were like brothers, kind of feuding brothers. And the beautiful thing about what happened over the past 30 years is, despite the fact that these two brothers didn't necessarily agree, they didn't agree at all on strategy, didn't always get along, but despite the fact, the counter-revolution advanced, the Catholic counter-revolution advanced. More and more traditional, the number of traditional parishes quadrupled. If you just left it with the society, lots of people would never have found that. But the society provides the impetus, and always has, from Ecclesia Dei moving on, for the fraternity, for the Institute of Christ the King, for the diocesan parishes. So why would we be stupid? Why would we say, remove the thing that, through God writing straight with crooked lines, opened up the door to an explosion of the traditional Latin Mass movement, to a huge influx of families from the Novus Ordo who found in the fraternity, in the Institute, in the society, refuge from the crisis in the church. Why would we try to tamper with that? Ever since 1988, I've been saying to the Society of St. Pius, please, no, do not make a deal with the Vatican. As soon as that happens, this whole balance gets thrown off. And folks in the Vatican are then able to traditionis custodes the entire Latin Mass movement. Why? Because there's no Society of St. Pius X to provide an option. You see how it works? Strategically, leave it alone. And if in your conscience you think it's a mortal sin of schism to go along with the Society of St. Pius X, here's a thought: don't go along with the Society of St. Pius X then. That's not for you. But there are many conscientious, good Catholics who have thought through this, who've spoken to the canon lawyers, who've spoken to the priests, and who have made a determination for the good of the faith of their children and themselves, their own souls, and they've gone this way, and they've benefited from it. Why are we trying to tear it down? Why? Because the devil would love to see the whole thing collapse. We cannot let that happen. We must remember the lessons learned since 1988. The Society of St. Pius X never formed the Petite Église, never crowned their own pope like was predicted. The Fraternity of St. Peter, Institute of Christ, they never went by ritual. They never embraced the new Mass, right? None of these things ever happened. And so we can look back over the past 4 decades and say this has all been working in the direction of truth, in the direction of light, in the direction of salvation of souls, in the direction of preserving the old faith.
It's not schismatic at all. And therefore we must correct the meaning of schismatic. In the last centuries, we had a kind of very reductive view of what is schismatic, a complete legalistic one. And we had a reductive view of what is obedience. We even absolutized obedience to the Pope, which is a creature. It's not God. Pope is not God. And really, de facto, I must state it, in the psychology of so many people, traditional or conservative, even bishops, cardinals, until our day. There is an implicit divinization of the Pope. I say implicit, not formal, not explicit, implicit. Therefore, any disobedience is suddenly labeled, you are schismatic, because you are disobedient. This was alien to the large tradition of the church. This was completely alien to the fathers of the church.
Don't you see, friends? Just give yourself a break. If you're new to this, or you're confused, or you're upset, or what, just give yourself a break. Just let it go. There are people in positions of authority in Christ's church, in the hierarchical structure of the church, who have spoken on this and who allow us to sort of calm down and stop with the mutual assured destruction and the circular firing squad over this issue. So we need to pray for a good resolution. Pray that the Vatican that does not proceed with this. Pray that Pope Leo himself, who's been showing signs of being interested in doing something constructive with the Society of St. Pius X, rather than just anathematizing, excommunicating, pray that he does. Don't let the Vatican divide us. Don't let them divide the clans over this issue. We've been at this for a long time. We know how to handle it. And good things are happening right now. Good things. In 2 weeks, God willing, I'm going to be walking the Chartres Pilgrimage again for the 35th time. Okay? Something huge. 2 things, huge, are going to happen at the Chartres Pilgrimage this year. I wish I could say what they are, but I don't want to jeopardize it, so I won't. But something big is going to happen. If you follow me on social media, I'll tell you all about it as soon as we possibly can from the road to Chartres. It's going to be big. There is one other thing that's going to happen. That's 3 altogether. The third thing I can tell you about, some of you may remember the scandal last year where the French bishops, for no reason at all, banned all private Latin masses in Paris and in Chartres over the Pentecost weekend. So all the priests that had come in from all over the world to walk the pilgrimage were not allowed on Thursday before Pentecost or Pentecost Tuesday to say Mass in Paris or in Chartres because the French bishops had forbidden it. God knows why, right? Nobody was allowed, no priest was allowed to have a private Mass in those 2 towns. This year, thanks be to God, and God knows why, that prohibition has been mysteriously lifted. This is big because it proves 2 things. 1, resistance is not futile, never futile. And 2, nothing can stop the Latin Mass, the sacrifice of Calvary, which redeemed the world in the very beginning and which, in its unbloody sacrifice of the altar, reenactment of the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, will save the world in the end. So we have no reason, friends. Do not give up hope. Do not let them divide us. Unite the clans. God's got this. Just keep the faith and hang on to tradition as if your very soul depends on it. Because you know what? It does.